of Annie's Annuals and Perennials, and today we're going to show you how we here at the nursery plant containers, which is pretty different than you see in gardening magazines in general. In gardening magazines, you'll see a pot that's about this big, right? And it'll have 10 different plants in it. One is a shade plant, one is a sun plant, or there's just too many plants. If you think about it, they're gonna use up all those nutrients in that pot so fast. So we put one variety in each pot, and what you end up with is something like this, which looks like a container garden. And you have the freedom of moving the pots around, and you can arrange the colors and arrange the heights and the shapes as you like. The mistake that most people make and that you see in the magazines is that the pots are too small. You want to have enough room for the roots to grow and for there to be nutrition. And you want to use the best soil you can get. Don't go to the box store and get the cheapest soil you can buy. And buy planting mix, big difference. Potting soil is really for house plants. It compacts, it smushes down, and the water runs down the sides of the pot and doesn't get into the whole plant. You get a good planting mix at an independent nursery as opposed to those big box stores. You don't want to fill up the soil up to the very edge of the pot because the water is going to run over the edge, and it's nice to leave a space to add some compost. These are Yersinia anathoides, which is this plant right here. And it happens to look really, really good with anything bright blue, like this Anchusa capensis, blue angel. So, taking it out of the pot, and I always do this. Don't be afraid to do this. It just sort of gives the roots an idea that they're supposed to go out into the soil. See, making some space in there. There we go. We use the grapeseed compost here at the nursery, but any good compost will do. And just put a little compost, that gives them a little extra boost. It won't burn them, it won't hurt them. Be careful that you don't put it right against the stems, because that can rot the stems on some plants. But this will just make them so happy and make them take off really, really fast. And this is what it's going to look like in about a month. And I highly recommend always potting up one pot of Nicotiana lime green because it looks good with everything. It blooms for a very long time. You can cut it back and it will bloom again. It's just so super simple, and it makes everything around it look even better. And this is the size pot I would use for Nicotiana lime green. If you have a tall plant, 3 feet tall, something that big would go in a pot no smaller than this. So we've got this one set up for us. And I'm using my favorite tool, my hand. And here's a little something I do too. See, I got this one off the table out there in the nursery, and it's already spiking. Well, I'm not real thrilled about that. That's kind of like a little bolting kind of thing to me. So I will just snap that off, and that will force the plant to create more foliage and to bush out. Since they get so tall, you could do one, you could do two. But the trick is that they have plenty of root room, and the roots will stay nice and cool in this big pot, and they've got plenty of nutrition. I put some compost, and that's going to make them so happy. And this will, just like that, this will turn into this in about a month and a half. Very fast growing. You don't need anything special to do that. You just need good soil and compost. And so let's say you don't have any compost. Fish emulsion. They say on the bottle to put a tablespoon per gallon. Well, this is what I do. A lot more than they say, and it really works, and it doesn't burn the plants. I don't do this when I first plant them in general, but if they're starting to look yellow or they're starting to look hungry, give them a little fish emulsion, and they will just jump right back into sheer happiness. So let's recap. We want to have one variety per pot. We want to have the right size pot. We want to have good soil, planting mix, not potting soil, and some nutrition like compost or fish emulsion. And that's it. Just put them together and be creative and have fun. All right, so now we're going to take a walk around the nursery and we're going to see some sample pots, some beautiful sample pots to help you get inspired. Come on. So here we have a great example of a container garden. Everything you see here is planted in a container and we've just moved them around. Look at these poppies in a pot. Isn't this beautiful? See the size container? This is one of our pet plants in the nursery. It's a companion relative that loves shade. It's called Symphyandra zanziger. Isn't it beautiful? It's just blooming its head off. Right size pot and a little bit of compost. And you can see this is one of our sample pots here in the nursery. Somebody else has planted Nicotiana, a lime green probably. And you can see that they've put that black, beautiful black grapeseed compost on top. Here's another garden with a lot of blue in it. I think that's 3 delphiniums in there. That's Delphinium Royal Aspirations. And that was probably planted in February. It's now May. And are they not spectacular? So you can just see how healthy all this looks and how pretty it is. And here's something that isn't coming into bloom yet, but it still looks good because it gives the eye a rest. It gives something green to look at, or what's called a foil. Wow, look at these. These are sweet peas in containers. There's 3 plants in a barrel, and are they not insane? They're so big. This is canary creeper nasturtium. And the reason it looks so good is look at the size of that basket. Can you see that in there? And people are always telling us that their hanging baskets look terrible. That's because the ones you get at the garden centers and even at nurseries are just like this big, which dry out really fast. But if you put them in a nice big pot, your plants will go nuts like this.